She's sharp and likes to keep an open mind and a sense of humor. Lubna Al-Kazimi is the niece of a ruling emir, but she's also a self-made woman. We join her in Abu Dhabi.
So as you move from the mosque, right next to it is actually St. Andrew's Church, so you can see the name on top.
Al-Kazimi is Minister of Tolerance in the United Arab Emirates. She's a practicing Muslim, but has sought to reach out to members of other religions. Here she's meeting with Christian leaders, and not for the first time.
I've traveled with some of the priests and the reverends from here to the Vatican together. We went to National Prayer in Washington, D.C., and we went to Sheikh Al-Azhar as a visit with Reverend Andy here. And the idea is to say that we all are people. Because it looks odd.
Tolerance, she says, begins in everyday life by talking to each other, by listening and by understanding, and trying to give others a sense of belonging.
We've really experienced this in our church. The different religions get along peacefully, living side by side. I'd like to see more of this back home in Germany and Switzerland. There have been some good initiatives, but we could learn a lot from here.
It's certainly a far cry from what we've heard from Al-Kazimi's critics, that her meetings are just window dressing for an authoritarian state. The minister is aware of the criticism, but she argues that it's only religious extremists who are given short shrift in her country. They face at least 5 years in prison.
We did make some laws where we make sure that there is enactment of people who have racial discrimination, speaking foul of other people, or diminish their values in terms of racism or speaking against their religion.
There are nearly 4 million migrant workers living in the Emirates, and they're often exposed to appalling conditions. But these members of the Sikh community tell us they do at least enjoy religious freedom. They say they're accepted here and not stigmatized as unbelievers by the Muslims. They hosted what they called a breakfast for diversity in Dubai and were delighted that the minister attended.
She spoke on equality, she spoke on harmony, she spoke of tolerance. The UAE government's policy of tolerance is unmatchable. Nobody in this world has ever thought of having such a diverse section of society all together in one place.
Back in her office in Abu Dhabi, Lubna Al-Kazimi receives guests from all over the world, representatives from governments and NGOs who are intrigued that the notoriously undemocratic Emirates have a state ministry for tolerance, the first of its kind worldwide.
There's more of a rising negative sentiments. There's a lot of hate speech. There's a lot of insightful talks and words. So it is time to start to preserve values, especially tolerance, coexistence, and diversity.
Tolerance, she says, is not just needed in the area of religion, but also between the sexes. As president of the Zayed University in Abu Dhabi, Al-Kazimi is particularly keen to promote women in the area of education. 80% of the students here are women. Men are a relatively rare sight. That's very unusual in the Arab world.
She spreaded the knowledge of tolerance, especially recently in the country, that we're starting to be tolerant with people from different cultural backgrounds, with people from different attitudes and behaviors. So this affects us, as me especially as a lady.
Lubna Al-Kazimi is now on her way to the Grand Mosque to meet with members of her own faith. She knows that tolerance has its limits here. The Emirates, she says, don't just copy Western values. It's still a strict Muslim society. She can't change that, and neither does she want to.